Olivia, do we have you?
Hey, Ray. Oh, yeah, you got me. I'm right here.
She's
and
ready to go.
There we go.
I love it.
One of our regulars here. Always good to talk with you, Olivia. And I want to jump into the story of the week, and not the one that everyone's talking about nationally in terms of the tush push and all that. I'm sure we'll get to that at some point. But the passing game and what it needs to do. Hurts took accountability yesterday for it. We posed the question here amongst the two of us. Is this a week in which they will look to feature it, or is it another great opponent where they're going to play more to their turnover-free football and look to get the victory over the Rams? What do you think is more likely coming this week? Your turnover-free approach or your trying to get the passing game going approach for the Birds?
Yes. Is that a good answer?
Exactly.
Yes to all of the above. I don't think the Eagles are ever going to try to turn over the football. I think that has become a really big part of Jalen Hurts' game ever since the first few games of last season, when it was just turnover after turnover, interception after interception to start the season, and it became increasingly clear that no matter how many yards Jalen Hurts was going to throw for, that wasn't going to be a recipe for success for the rest of the season. So ultimately, he tightens up, cleans up his game, and the Eagles did a much better job following the bye week of protecting the football. I don't think the Eagles can lose that. I think that's the possession game is such a huge part of what the Eagles do, and dominating that, and that is a huge reason why they've been able to win these last two games. I don't want to take that away from them. At the same time, the passing game needs to not even just become more explosive, but become more intermediate. We haven't seen Jalen Hurts complete an intermediate throw in the first two games of the season. I don't think they can live by this death by 1,000 cuts approach that they've been taking for the first two games of the year. It's worked so far. They've gotten the win. But is it going to be sustainable? I have my doubts. We'll see if this week is the week where we see the passing game get unleashed a little bit more. The Rams secondary is a little bit banged up with Ahkello Witherspoon going on injured reserve this week. So perhaps this is the right time. Perhaps this is the week they finally get A.J. Brown going.
Yeah, Olivia, we heard from Kevin Patullo, and no surprise, peppered with questions about trying to open up this offense. And he suggested literally what you just said. We're not going to do it to the detriment of, turnovers, because we know what can happen. But at the same time, that is their game plan. Their game plan is to get A.J. Brown going and to get Devontae Smith going and to get some of those explosive plays. Was this more, you think, of, all right, this is Steve Spagnuolo, the way that he was able to pressure Jalen Hurts, and that defensive front was really able to get all as close as possible, and really they had to get the ball out quick? Or was it, we're risk averse and we're not trying to, we're 2 weeks into the season, we've got a new play caller, we're just trying to ease into it? Because it seems like it could be a little bit of both, but maybe a little bit more on not super imaginative yet with the play calling, despite what the defense gave them.
My impression, just reading between the lines of what Patullo had to say and then watching, of course, how the game actually panned out, was more of the former, where I don't think necessarily the Eagles went into the game thinking that they were going to take this more conservative approach as the game unfolded. We saw in the very beginning that the Eagles actually had a really awesome shot available to A.J. Brown on the very first play of the game, and ultimately there was a rusher that went unblocked, and Jalen Hurts was under duress, and at that point, essentially, the play was blown up and dead, and A.J. Brown is he's got his, you see on the film down the field, he's got his hand in the air like, hey, I'm open. Mm-hmm. But, when Hurts is pretty much, scrambling out of the pocket and then he fumbles the football, obviously can't get the ball to A.J. Brown in that manner. So as we saw the game continue and Steve Spagnuolo blitzed at a really high rate, a rate that he hadn't in a single game. It was his highest rate in a single game since he became the defensive coordinator with the Chiefs in 2019. That said, I think the Eagles handled it really well, but you're not going to be pushing the ball downfield when you've got extra rushers coming at you. It's not the easiest way to get the ball out quickly. And Hurts did a really good job of getting the ball out quickly. I think he was averaging a little over 2 seconds per pass against the blitz, which is what you want. But you're not taking shots down the field against the blitz typically, except for that one 28-yard pass to Devontae Smith. So, to me, I think it was just the way the game unfolded, coupled with some breakdowns in execution. It's never one thing, and I know it would be really easy to just like pin it on one person or just pin it on Kevin Patullo or, whatever. That's like the convenient thing to do, but I don't necessarily think it was just one thing in that game.
Talking about getting the ball out quick, Dallas Goedert was that option in the first game of the season. I know you wrote about him speaking with the media, being back at practice. What do you make of his availability, and what can he open up that we didn't see in week 2?
I think it was a good sign that he practiced yesterday, even if he was just a limited participant. It was funny. He said last week he was pushing to play against the Chiefs. He's never played in Arrowhead before. 2 years ago, when the Eagles were back there, he was injured for that game as well. And the game before that is when he sustained the injury. He fractured his forearm against who else than the Dallas Cowboys. So it's a little bit of a deja vu moment for Dallas Goedert. But, yeah, I think if the Eagles can get him back this week, that would be a big benefit to them, not only in the passing game, Ray, as you mentioned, but also in terms of what he brings as a blocker in the run game, in pass protection. That's, I think, something that the Eagles have kind of missed. They elevated Cameron Latu for the game from the practice squad last week, and he played a few snaps, had a couple key blocks. It was really encouraging to see him step into that fullback role. But Grant Calcaterra, Kylan Granson, I think, have shown perhaps some need for improvement as blockers, I think, to put it kindly, not necessarily their strong suits. And that is something that Goedert is really good at. And I think if they have him back there, perhaps a shot like that to A.J. Brown in the very beginning of the game against the Chiefs, maybe that would have been available if it were Goedert out there and not Calcaterra. But, coulda, shoulda, woulda, if, whatever, it doesn't really matter at this point. I think all that matters right now is getting Goedert back on the field healthy and ready to contribute to this team. Whether or not it's this week, we'll find out soon.
Moving to the defense, we were talking about Adoree Jackson and what to do with him. And it does seem, we heard from Vic Fangio at the beginning of the season, we're going to give him a longer leash. We're going to let this play out a little bit. But now 2 weeks in, the return's not good, very good. And now you have another really dynamic receiver in Puka Nacua. Ray had mentioned, maybe you do something to change it up and have Cooper DeJean kind of follow Nacua around. But Adoree Jackson will still be out there. And that's got to be a little bit of a concern because this is a younger defense in certain aspects, but they can't just let these guys run roughshod all over you. And Matt Stafford can find those guys. How do you expect that secondary to kind of play out in this one on Sunday?
That's going to be such a huge part of this game, I think. And I do think credit where credit is due, and it's a low bar over his first performance with the Eagles. But I do think that Adoree Jackson was better against the Chiefs. Again, I think it was a low bar, and it's not to say that he had a flawless game. But yeah, I think that matchup is going to be a critical one for this game on Sunday, and it's one of the reasons why I have my reservations about whether or not the Eagles are going to win because of Matthew Stafford and this retooled receiving core that he has, with the addition of Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua coming back, and even Tutu Atwell. He's been a talented receiver for them as well, and someone that the Eagles hold in high regard. So I think, that is going to be a key part of this game. The Rams use a lot of pre-snap motion. They thrive off of the play-action pass game, and especially when you've got some young players in the defense, and now at this point, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, they're in their second years, and they've shown from the beginning, I would say, that they are not your typical rookies. They're pretty savvy, and they've continued to play at a high level in their second season. But for the Jahad Campbells of the world too, this is it's going to be really important for this entire defense to be very disciplined, to not fight on any of the eye candy they may see in the backfield, and to really just hone in and lock in on their assignments. So that's going to be a big part of this, and I'm not sure if I have 100,000% confidence that it's going to be a perfect day for the Eagles secondary, simply because this Rams passing game is so potent.
We're talking to Olivia Reiner here from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I want to lead that right into the game prediction here. Again, I'm not trying to steal content from you, but you seem a little uncertain on this week where you're going to go. How do you see this one playing out on Sunday?
Yeah, it's tough. When I did my season predictions for the entire year, I picked the Rams in this game, and because I am 2-0 in my predictions so far, and the Eagles are 2-0 as well, I am going to stick with my preseason prediction and stick with the Rams for this game. Listen, this was a really entertaining divisional round game last year, probably the most entertaining game of the postseason for the Eagles. And it came down to that very final drive and Matthew Stafford really carving up the secondary until Jalen Carter was able to pretty much blow it all up for them. It was a huge play. And now the Rams are coming in looking for their revenge. And based on what we have seen from this Eagles team, I would say the defense has fared really well so far in 2 games overall. The offense has some catching up to do. Perhaps Sunday is the day where they can start to separate themselves a little bit and to generate some more explosive plays. But like I said before, I think the big concern that I have is, Stafford and this Eagles secondary, and even up front, generating pressure on Matthew Stafford too is going to be critical. He's a really accurate, efficient quarterback when he is kept clean, and that's the big keyword. So can the Eagles do a good enough job generating pressure up front? Can they be sound in the secondary against these, a few very talented receivers? I have some doubts, so I'm going with the Rams for this game.
All right. Well, we'll be enjoying your coverage regardless, but I am rooting against your pick.
Okay. You're allowed to do whatever you want. Listen, I see the other side of it too, obviously. Of course. The Eagles are 2-0. Hard to pick against them too.
It is hard to pick against them. I probably won't be this weekend, but we'll see. I appreciate you joining us, Olivia. Always a pleasure talking with you. Hey, it's Ray Dunne from the Midday Show. Thank you so much for watching our content. If you want more videos, you can click right here. Or how about you subscribe right here so you stay in the know on all that's coming from 97.5 The Fanatic.